What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka UniqueMazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming, and I'm here with another episode of At Me Bro. What's good, Nelson Blake II?
Oh man, it's all good, man. NBA.
What happened?
Oh, sorry. Hold on. I didn't realize I had the window open like a noob. I'm hearing you twice, getting confused.
Oh,
What I was gonna
I didn't
say
know what was
was,
going on. I thought you lost time.
nah, it's been a great week so far, man.
Mhm.
Enjoying the NBA playoffs and Mortal Kombat and this gig I'm working on that's really cool and all that stuff. So it's been pretty good.
Oh, okay. You must be drawing me. No, that ain't
I-
it.
you know when I'm drawing you when that paycheck go out.
Oh, 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 oh. My man Razor's in the building.
What up,
What's
Razor?
good? We got a bunch of man, y'all was talking for a long time. I do apologize. Anybody that was here. We had a full chat. Like they
All right.
had a whole show without us.
They must be showing
Oh,
up with
they
a,
no, you know what they did? They so
what's that?
dope. They loaded up the Ask Us Bros. M71408
What?
hit us with Ask Us Bro early, and so
So
did
so did
Marco.
Mook
This
Allen
is
and
such
Marco.
a
What?
very this, you know what? Hold on one second.
See,
I
I
got it.
told you, you sit here
I,
slandering our
I
community every time they agree with me. I tell you, this is just an
no,
example of their loyalty and
I don't
intelligence.
slander every time they agree with with you. I slander you for going to them to help to prove your erroneous points. That's what I slander. But I got something here. Everybody who put in a Ask Us Bro question, this is for you. I'm going to send you guys each some of this. So you just make sure you tell me how to get it to you. I appreciate everybody's doing what you did. I know I really do. Seriously, I really do
No,
appreciate that.
absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
pretty
Like
dope.
again, the support for this show has been amazing. Like everybody, the discussion has always been respectful and intelligent. We absolutely love the way you guys have supported us so far. So thanks so much.
Yes, yes. That's Razor want me to ship him some Cheetos to Lithuania. I ain't
M7,
I
he
don't
like
know.
me. He probably doing keto. He like keep them carbs.
No, Razor ain't doing no keto.
No.
Razor is already a very thin man, so he don't need no. He, I want to get him. I need to get him some Cheetos so he can get chunky like me, so that we can be good. We be on one accord. So all right, let's let's get into it. Legends roster for smoking them, smoking Hemi 33. Yes, it is coming. I'm working on it. I'm telling you, I'm working hard like a single parent with no help. I'm trying to tell you, I am, and I'm trying to get it done. I am. Uh, he said he's doing a starvation diet. I pray for you. All right, so let's start this show up. Let's start off talking about Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard, I don't know how many people got wind of this or whatever. Thank you very much. My assistant just handed me a bag of almonds, M&Ms, so I appreciate them. They're great. Anyway, you do would you like have anybody tried the almond M&Ms?
Good Lord. This
Nelson
man
does
just peddling diabetes left and right.
Nelson doesn't eat this because he has some sort of mental problem. But it's okay. I'm gonna eat his for him. But all right. So let's see. Let's do this here. Let's go into this the talk about Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard, I don't know how many people saw this or didn't see this. But Dwight Howard said that everything that Michael Jordan did, Kobe Bryant has done and better. And he did everything he did, and he's done it better. So I saw that earlier today, and I tweeted something out about it. But I don't know if you saw my tweet, Nelson.
No, I haven't
Uh,
been on Twitter at almost at all today.
well, that's a good thing for you. I think that means that you did the right thing because usually Twitter is something that's very evil. So you try to
I
stay.
got in the habit of staying off when Avengers was about to come out. Like a spoiler
You
for
know
Avengers
what?
might have
That's a good
turned me into a
practice.
villain.
That's a good practice right there because there's a bunch of Thanoses out there.
Uh-huh.
There's a bunch of Thanoses out there, and they do bad things. So yeah, I don't talk to nobody. I want to. Well, we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about Dwight Howard. What is your thoughts about that? I pretty much just quoted him exactly. This is pretty much what he said. So tell me what you think.
Well, I didn't watch the entire interview with
Hmm.
Gilbert Arenas, but the tone of the interview, Dwight overall seemed to lack self-awareness of who he is and where he is. And I almost felt like him saying that, I didn't want to hear that from him. Right? Like I don't even like not the way he was saying it, talking about what Kobe did, but the way he said it was different. It wasn't like I consider my favorite or what I appreciate. I mean, to say everything that Michael did but better, that seems like a nonsense statement. And I'm a huge Kobe fan. I'm a Lakers fan. I understand. Even though I disagree, I understand the arguments for people who think that Kobe was at Michael's level or above Michael's level. Again, I greatly disagree. But if somebody grew up after the fact and they weren't around when Michael was doing his thing, and you're just looking at film, you might not totally get what it was like on a day-to-day basis. Dwight, he's old enough to know. He was there for the whole thing. I just don't think he has a basis for it because the reasons that I think Kobe could get more credit than he does is his injury history is tremendous. Like he was beat up from basically the Tomjanovich years on. Like something severe happened to him, and he still managed to be, roughly the best player in the game. Um, During that time, tearing his finger. Yeah, that's why his shooting went down. He tore his finger, stuff like that. And that's incredible. Like and for him to play 20 years, like that's all incredible. But no, man, that's crazy. I would actually go as far as to say Kobe didn't do anything better than Michael, like except longevity. I think he had skills that were better than what Michael had. If you just looking at the biometrics of it, but I don't think that added up to the result being better in any category.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think that
Except one thing, I think Kobe might have been better at guarding small guards because of his agility. Kobe was lighter on his feet. He was very agile, and Michael struggled mightily against small guards a lot of the time. And Kobe was actually the guy that they called out to go get small guards. He did it against Iverson, Leandro Barbosa in the Olympics, Westbrook, Rajon Rondo. He had a really good sense of spacing those guys, and he was quick enough and intelligent enough to counter their game. That would be the only thing I would even debate that Kobe did better than Michael, to be honest with you.
yeah, I don't even know if I totally subscribe to that. The one little guard that I do recall Mike struggling with, but he didn't spend a ton of time on him, was Damon Stoudemire. Damon Stoudemire as essentially gave the Bulls that the I'm talking about the great Bulls teams, the 72-10 team. He gave the Bulls fits. The Bulls lost both games to the Raptors that year.
Mm-hmm.
And they had no answer for Damon Stoudemire. He was just, and really Ron Harper spent most of the time on him because Ron Harper started at point guard for that Bulls team. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall Mike getting a lot of small guard assignments. And I'm somebody I watched just about every single game he played in the Bulls uniform. And I don't remember him getting a lot of small guard assignments because he never played on a team where the Bulls had a gross deficiency at point guard from a defensive standpoint, where he would have had to jump up and take that assignment. Because even in the late 80s, early 90s, when they were playing and losing to the Pistons, Mike never guarded Isaiah Thomas. John Paxson always had him. Sam Vincent always had him.
But even with that, everything you take into that account, and mind you, we both agree with the Dwight Howard thing. So we're just kind of talking basketball at this point. For everybody who's listening, we both agree Dwight Howard crazy with what he said, but I think that's something that Kobe actually excelled at. If you look at the defense Kobe played on Iverson, played on Rondo, played on Westbrook, a bunch of small guards, he really made their lives miserable and could figure them out. And I don't think Michael showed that ability, and I think that's part of the reason that he didn't spend a long time guarding smaller guards.
Yeah, I don't know how you show that ability if you don't get the opportunity. Is I guess is kind of my thing. If you don't have any sample size or you have a very small sample size of guarding those guys, I don't know how he would show that. The only way you can show it is to do it and fail or succeed. And he didn't do that. Because you can look and say, well, it doesn't seem like he should be able to, but you really don't know unless you see him match up. Joe Dumars wasn't, I don't think, necessarily a small guard. I see 1989 is mentioning him.
I would consider Joe a smaller guard. He's only
Yeah,
6'4". He's not a
yeah,
tall six. He's more of a 6'3", 6'4".
6'3", 6'4" is still when I think smaller guard, I'm thinking 6'1" and smaller.
No,
That's
no, 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 no. I'm thinking because I brought up Westbrook too. So no, I think although Westbrook wasn't as big as he is now back then, so he was a smaller guard back then. But I really mean point guards and point guard size guys. So
yeah, because
the,
Joe was the two guard. So and Mike,
so was Iverson.
I don't think Mike struggled to guard. I mean, yeah, I mean, we all know the clip of Allen Iverson crossing Mike over, but I mean,
Yeah, we
one
have too
play.
much integrity on the show to take one highlight and
Yeah, it's one
extrapolate it.
play. You
But
know,
I just remember watching basketball a lot. That was the scouting reporter on Michael. And there are a bunch of little plays here and there like that play with Iverson. Obviously, Iverson's Iverson, so no shame on any defender that catches Iverson crossover. He had the fastest, most evil crossover of all time. But I never saw Michael excel at stopping a small guard the way Kobe did, and that's the only thing I would give Kobe.
yeah, I don't know. I don't give Kobe anything over Mike. Honestly, I don't. I mean, I think that he's close to Mike in a lot of categories, but I don't give him any. I think everything Kobe did, Mike did more efficiently or flat out better.
I agree.
Uh, I mean, I mean, he mid-range shooter. Mike was a way better, 20 times better mid-range shooter. You give Kobe credit for being a better three-point shooter, but if you look at it, Kobe shot 32.7% from three in his career. Mike shot
Well,
32.5% from three.
that goes back to what I was saying about the injuries, though. Like when you look at
Yeah,
Kobe,
but that doesn't mean anything to me. I mean,
well,
Mike had
usually when
injuries
you
too.
compare players, you're not
M-
talking. No, but Kobe literally tore his pinky off, and people were like, he was
That's
shooting with his left hand for like weeks.
what we're not. But if
Point being, and also it's about volume. But the thing about Kobe that I think people don't give him enough credit for is that Michael Jordan trained the league to defend Michael Jordan. He didn't have to face the Doc Rivers, Boston Celtics style wall of defenders. You know what I mean? The league got a lot better at defense because of Michael Jordan. He was one of the main reasons. And same thing with Shaq. The league got a lot better at defending the impounds because of Shaq. I think that's part of the reason that you don't see as many dominant big men today. Some of them, many of them don't have the skills of some of the old big men, but there's some of them that do. Like you look at them, you're like, if you were in the 90s, you would have got 20, 22 a night. But the way they guard the inbound is so much stronger. And the same thing goes for perimeter play. In Kobe's period, up until everybody started getting shooters and the floor spread wide out. I think for both Michael and Kobe, it would be really interesting to see them in today's game because I think both of them could average 35 easy, much more efficiently than their playing careers respectively.
well, yeah, I mean, Mike averaged 37
I know.
in
And
a
Kobe
year.
averaged 35 for a year,
Yeah,
but I'm talking about,
yeah.
I
I
said
mean,
easy, not peak years, easy.
yeah, I mean, I think Mike easy averages over 40 a game. Easy. It's not, and I think that, I mean, I don't really, the whole injury thing, everybody's got injuries.
No,
Everybody's had these different things.
Kobe is like one
When
of the
we talk
all-time
about, but
greatest at overcoming injuries.
when we, yeah, I mean, but where's that at? Where's that? Where's the scale for that?
Just go through NBA history. I mean, you don't want to
I
give
mean,
Kobe credit for nothing. That's
no,
fine.
I'm
We agree on the
saying,
Dwight Howard thing, so we could pack it up. I'm not gonna
what
get
I'm
into a
saying
Kobe
is,
debate with you.
I mean, it was 20-second timeout. This is the At Me Bro show, not the Nelson Blake show. You get to end the conversation when you ready because you think it's the whatever. I mean, just I had a point I wanted to get out. You go
I'm
take.
quiet.
I'm shooting my free throws. You come take it out of my hand. Can I get my free throw out? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm all I'm saying is I just don't. I don't see anything how I like to when I'm bringing up a point. This like all of this stuff about all-time greatest and overcoming injuries. That's not an official stat. You can't that's not an official thing. That's an opinion. That's somebody's, somebody another person more close to the situation might say someone else overcame more injuries than Kobe or somebody else. Or Mike overcame. Mike had ice on his knees I sat and watched Mike with ice on his knees for like the last 8 years of his career. Tendonitis was terrible. They used to have a book called Rare Air where Mike had a picture of his feet and how beat up his feet were. So everybody's got injuries. I'm not giving Kobe any extra credit because he tore his pinky off. So what? It is what you were. The conversation or the debate is about what you were with everything involved. Because if that was the case, we could talk about a bunch of people who could have been greater had they not been injured. So if we're going to give that compensation, we're opening up the door for a lot of different things. So I don't know. That's just my take on the whole injury side. But yes.
I mean, I could beat you up over that, but I don't want to distract from the Dwight Howard thing.
No, I mean, no, I mean, I really
Howard
don't think you could. I mean, you could throw punches, but they don't land.
Because you just tried to compare Kobe's career injuries to Michael's, which is
no. I'm not comparing any injuries to. I mean, first of all, we're not privy to the same level of information about injuries. We weren't privy to that in the 80s and the 90s the way we are now. So that's one thing. Second of all, as I said, if you're going to open up the can of worms where you're going to say, oh, but when you consider what he had to go through, then now you have to consider a whole bunch of things, because that's unofficial information that you're trying to bring into a debate. And if you're bringing that into a debate, you have to have a way to prove that. You have no way to prove that Kobe had to overcome more than Mike from a physical standpoint. There's no way to prove
I think
that.
the medical records do prove that. But even
you got his medical record. You got his medical records.
Well, Kobe's had more publicized surgeries than Michael.
Okay, publicized surgeries. I mean, like
you're making up surgeries Michael didn't have and saying
I never
maybe they
said
exist.
Mike
I'm
had
going by what we know.
I never said Mike had a surgery. I never said that. I'm sure you know that. I never said that.
So you're saying someone who had multiple surgeries hasn't had harder injury issues than someone who hasn't had multiple surgeries?
I never said. What I said is, if you're going to bring in injuries to the conversation and you're going to say that we have to take that into consideration when we're considering someone's greatness, then that means that opens up the can of worms for everybody who's ever been injured, who an injury has impacted their career. And then now we're saying that because so if that's the case, I can tell you Greg Oden would have been an all-star center, and you can't argue that with me.
This is my point. And this is why people give Kobe so much credit for it. Because for most guys, when they have injury after injury after injury, they see a severe drop-off in performance. And Kobe, after several severe injuries, was still the best player in the game. So, and that's why some people, and this is what I was saying, I don't agree that Kobe's better than Michael Jordan, but I understand why people who are very close to seeing that are like, you don't even know that this guy, went through this, that, and the other, and to see him still get up and be the next best thing to Michael Jordan is just crazy. And I can see how they would take that to the next level. That's my argument. And not even my argument, that's my point. Is no argument, because I'm with you. I think Michael.
No, we're not arguing. We're not arguing the Dwight Howard thing.
And I think a big part of the reason Michael was a more superior player to Kobe was because he was physically superior. He jumped higher, and he was naturally stronger. I think Kobe got stronger from putting the work in. But Michael, when I say stronger, we talk about this all the time, how strength and explosion is what it is. People look at jumping, but some people are fragile jumpers, right? Michael was an explosive jumper and an agile jumper. And Kobe had to gain that strength to become a great post player on and on throughout the years. Michael improved his strength, but I thought he was born with more of it. Like, he basically had to lift weights for a summer, and then he was the Michael Jordan we all knew, strength and everything involved. Whereas Kobe, you can see year after, he was a skinny kid when he came into the league.
Mike was pretty skinny too, but I do think Mike was stronger.
Kobe was younger.
I think Mike was strong in the core, and definitely Kobe was young. Kobe was still a kid,
right,
when he came in the league. Mike
and that's even another factor. Like, a lot of people look at Kobe's early years, but Del Harris wouldn't let Kobe play, and there were people including Jerry West, saying, "Oh no, he's one of our best players right now."
But they let him play in Utah with them air balls. He was there.
Yeah, but you put in a kid that you haven't been playing that much all year, and he gets a couple of air balls, no big deal. But they were saying that shows that he has the heart and the guts to move forward. But people were saying, from what they were seeing in practice, that Kobe should have gotten, 20 minutes a game from jump. He was not a project like, say, Tracy McGrady. who was not ready as soon as he got in the league. There are multiple people close to the situation, people who played for the Lakers that were like, Kobe should have got 20 minutes a game easy when he first started. But back in the 90s, that's just not how it was done. You know, in the 90s, you got a teenage rookie, especially when he's behind an all-star like Eddie Jones, he just had to sit. It didn't matter what he was doing in practice. He was just going to sit. That was just part of the process back then.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that I definitely think Kobe was further ahead of Mike at his age, right? So Kobe came in the league as an 18-year-old, and he was, I think, at 18, he was better than Mike was at 18. I think that Mike definitely did benefit from going to school, but see, like all of this stuff is to me more so reasons why he was better, not necessarily something that I can give to someone who take the point that is better. Which, like I said, I know that's not what you're doing, but you were saying that I see how they would say that based on this. I can't, because all it is to me is a reason why Mike is better, not so much a concession for Kobe. But yeah, we were planning, or originally planned on that particular subject. I think we are there. Let's move on talking about some other stuff going on the NBA side, which is actually on the court today, or I mean on the court in the currently, and not kind of like a past conversation. I want to know, who do you think is in more trouble? Um, the Rockets, the Bucks, the Nuggets, or the Raptors? Now, I want to kind of explain why I said those, because some of those series are 1-1, but the teams that I named are teams that have already lost at home. So, who do you think is in the most trouble between
By
those
far
three?
and away, it's the Rockets
Mhm.
by a great mile because they're playing against the best team in the league. They're the ones playing against Kevin Durant. And the thing about the Rockets that bugs me the most right now, there's two things that if I was a Rockets fan, they would really bug me. One, James Harden is not the James, forget the eye game. Even before that, he is not the James Harden of the regular season. That's not happening. And I just mean from a quality level. You
Mhm.
know, he's not as efficient. He's not hitting as many shots from the perimeter, and he doesn't feel like this oppressive, overpowering force. And the thing is, they're not playing a gimmick defense where they're taking the ball out of his hands all the time. So
No.
what we're seeing really, really ugly possessions where both teams are just trying to get Steph Curry away from James Harden so they could defend him straight up with basically anybody else in the Golden State Warriors uniform. And the Rockets are trying to switch and switch and switch and switch and pick and roll until Steph is guarding him and then he'll draw a foul. Horrible basketball. Not the whole series is a horrible basketball, but that happens a lot, and that's horrible basketball for me, to my eyes. The thing that bugs me though is if you're going through all that trouble to get James open, Chris Paul is one of the greatest pick and roll players to ever live.
Mhm.
And he's literally bringing the ball up court and handing it off to James
Mhm.
Harden possession after possession.
Yes, he is.
I don't know what disease has infected the coaching staff of the Rockets, but how do you figure a Chris Paul pick and roll to whoever is not guarding James Harden involving Steph Curry is not to your advantage with Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Clint Capella, and whoever his man is guarding, and James possibly receiving the ball as a help situation is going to Chris and Clint Capella. I don't understand why a Chris Paul pick and roll is suddenly this undesirable thing. And he's playing hot potato like he's not one of the greatest point guards of all time. They can't win like that, and that's why they're in the most trouble by far.
I 100% agree. 100%. Um, the way they are playing offensively, it's it's almost like it looks like they weren't prepared for this series. It really does, from a schematic standpoint. It almost looks like they are the favorites and they're getting surprised by an upstart team that came in really ready to play the best team in the league. That's what it looks like from an effort, from an execution standpoint. I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at with Chris Paul. Why is I'd have to pull it up, but I would love to see what Chris Paul's usage rate is so far through two games in this series. I mean, he is not at all being treated like a future Hall of Famer who can still play. And he's just not getting the touches. They're not using Chris Paul. They could have got anybody just about in the NBA to play the role that they have Chris Paul playing. And one of the benefits that they've had with Paul and Harden, and we've talked about this before, is that they have two elite level point guards on their team. They have two tempo controlling point guards on their team. And against Golden State, controlling tempo is very important. It's not as important as it was before Durant, because Durant is a execution master through half court, through in transition, whatever. So he kind of equalizes that a bit, but it's still important to control tempo with them. And you have two point guards who should be able to do that, but they're playing like they have one point guard and one decent guy who's literally, I mean, on what planet is it the right scheme to send Chris Paul into the corner
I
and
don't
just
understand
stand
it.
there?
And this has been one of my problems with Chris Paul throughout all of his career in the playoffs, and why I've never placed him in my top point guards. I loved him in New Orleans, like really, really did. Once he got to the Clippers, he seemed to be less offensively aggressive.
Hmm.
And I really felt like Chris Paul in the fourth quarter should be much more like Tony Parker. Tony Parker in the fourth quarter in a lot of Spurs playoff runs was all of a sudden a monster, right? I mean, floaters, fouls, spinning into the lane, hitting little jumpers. You just couldn't keep the guy from collapsing the defense. And Chris Paul is just running the offense like it's the third game of the regular season. And it's like, dude, you're Chris Paul. You can do everything Tony Parker does, right? Except you have more shooting range and you're stronger than he is. And you have a better ball handle and you're a better passer. Why? Where is that? Why aren't you playing that way? And this willingness to be passive,
Mhm.
I don't think that cuts it from your superstar. You know, we criticize guys who go too hard, and that they deserve it sometimes. But there's a balance, and there has to. We've brought this up about Kobe a lot of times. What people say about Kobe, some people get angry at Kobe because of his efficiency. But one of the reasons that people feared him so much is because they knew they would never get a break. And Chris Paul never makes his opponents feel like that. He never makes them feel like, oh man, Chris Paul's coming down the court. I'm nervous what he's going to do. I'm just going to pass it to James and hang out in the corner like a good little soldier. That's not going to cut it against the Golden State Warriors. You have to play risky, right? When I tweeted about the Bucks Boston series, I said the Bucks have to figure it out because Boston is playing a very risky defense. Boston knows they can't stop everything. So what do? They send four guys at Giannis, and when he picks up his dribble, they scramble to recover. You know what I'm saying? Like they create the wall, they get rid of the wall, they bring the wall back. You know what I mean? And they're trying to be confusing, constantly leaving one guy open. So I'm kind of like, I think Budenholzer is going to figure that out, but I respect it because sometimes you can't be efficient in the playoffs. That's the whole thing. You can't always be efficient in the playoffs, and you have to sometimes be risky. It doesn't mean settling for jumpers. You know, it doesn't mean only playing for fouls. Sometimes you have to be risky. And I don't think Houston has the appropriate level of risk in their offense right now. They're playing it safe. They're playing by the numbers. And they're just playing for threes and free throws. And that's not good enough. You have to take something away from Golden State and be risky against them, force Draymond to shoot. And on offense, you have to say, Chris, go out and get 30 and see what they do. And they ain't doing that.
I agree with your assessment of what he's doing right now, but I don't think that that's an accurate assessment of what he's done since he was with the Clippers. If you look at Chris Paul's field goal attempts in the fourth quarter, in the playoffs, since you know since the Clippers were making serious runs into the playoffs, and especially if you look at what he did in the postseason last year in the fourth quarter, he showed a lot of aggression. As a matter of fact, that was why they had the Warriors on the ropes last year, is because of how well he was scoring. So I agree that that's the problem now. I don't think that that's been his problem all along. I think that he's fallen into something this year with how great Harden has been this entire season, and the fact that he's missed a lot of games and that he's not getting into the flow. I don't know that I 100% blame him for that so much as I blame coaching, because from a coaching standpoint, you have to say, hey, man, we're not getting everybody involved. We got Chris freaking Paul over here. We need to get him involved. Let's get him off. Let's get him going, especially with James shooting such a low percentage, and especially with us losing the games. And I believe in game 2, I don't think they ever led. Right, they never led. So here you are facing going down 0-2, and you still haven't made any schematic changes or any changes from an approach. Last year in the postseason, Chris Paul shot 6 field goals six field goals for every on an average in the fourth quarter in the postseason. That's plenty for a point guard that's looking for his
Well,
offense.
I thought last year he was in a better situation with it. But I thought a lot of series that he lost before, especially when he was with Blake Griffin, but that wasn't the only time. But I thought a lot of series before, there were times where he was very passive. He had some very, very low scoring, low aggression games
Mhm.
that people were like, well, he's a floor general. And I'm like, no. Like you look at his efficiency, it'll be like he shot 50% from 3, or 55% from the field, but he had 18 points. It's like, well, you needed to get 27. Who else
Yeah,
is shooting?
I
It's
kind
you,
of,
Blake, and Jamal Crawford. Like, what are you doing? Get
I
out there,
kind of,
put some buckets on these people's faces, man.
I kind of, I mean, I can't really argue with that too much. I mean, that's one of those things that it just depends on how you look at it, right? Some people, he's a great player. He's a Hall of Fame player. So because you're a Hall of Fame player, you are expected to step outside of your archetype, essentially. You're expected to do that. So it doesn't matter if throughout most of the time you're a pass first point guard and all that. When you're as great as Chris Paul, the expectation is you're going to do what you're supposed to do to win.
But,
If that means score 40 tonight, then that's what you got to do.
but Mazique, aren't we used to that though? Who's the ultimate pass first point guard? Magic Johnson. You know who
Mhm.
else was a pass first guy? Isaiah Thomas. Both of those, I mean, astronomical assists those guys certain seasons, right?
Yeah.
What do we get from them? We got, 16 points on one leg from Isaiah Thomas. We got Magic Johnson, 42 points, sky hook. As a point guard, it's not just floor general or bust. It's floor general until we need you to step up
Right. That's essentially
and
what,
go
yeah.
get it. Like,
When,
so that's the thing. Like, you step outside your archetype. It'd be one thing if that was some new era thing. This is what we've gotten
no,
from great
no.
point guards.
Yeah.
Even John Stockton hitting game winning threes. Like, you are supposed to be a threat, particularly in the fourth quarter. People are supposed to feel like you a real problem now. All that floor general stuff was to keep us in the game. But now that we need to go home, we need our leader to be a threat and hold these guys accountable. Draw that double team so that you do make the pass. And I really think Chris Paul historically has too often, I'm not saying he's 100% always like that, but too often for a player of his skill level, he's been passive. And if he doesn't change that, essentially Houston has one inefficient all-star versus, I mean, the way Iggy's playing 6 on the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, Iggy's playing great. I think that I do think Chris Paul's in a tough situation though. Because he's playing alongside a guy who has an all-time high usage rate, like literally all-time high. A guy who has literally been dominating the ball the entire season. And I've been out, right? And the team has been playing fantastic, with him playing this way. So there's a conundrum there for him. Now, I don't think there's a conundrum in game 3 at all, right? But in the first 2 games, I can understand there being a little bit of he's going back and forth with this, because do I come in and I just start trying to rock the boat, because we were playing really well as a team? Do I come in and immediately make that assessment? Oh, forget it. James. Do I start doing that? You know what I mean? Do I, you know what I mean? It's the Rockets have been running their offense this way all year long. So I know Chris Paul is Chris Paul, but
But
I
but
totally
here's the thing
agree.
though,
I
B,
totally agree. He
when they
has to
were running
step
their
up.
offense like that, what did they say? Oh, we're not going to play like this in the playoffs. We're just doing this because guys are coming back from injury.
They're playing like trash right now.
And the naysayers were saying James is trying to get that MVP. He don't have to be playing like that anymore, right? And the Rockets themselves swore up and down. We understand. We get it, Kobe. You're absolutely right. This won't work in the playoffs. We're gonna go back to being an overall offense. And what are they doing? Handing the ball to James, running pick and rolls until they get a matchup they like, and then he starts flopping all over the court. It's disgusting. They ain't
And
gonna
then
win like that.
and then the other thing that's happening with them too is the fact that Golden State is back in rotating on the screen and roll lob to the rim and taking that rim running ability away
Oh,
from Clint Capella.
Clint
They
Capella look like he look like a Dallas Cowboys receiver out there.
Yeah, it's but the thing of it is they're doing such a good job
Yeah.
with running length at that play. So the pass has to be so precise and the catch has to be so precise. Are they gonna get it sometimes? Yes, because you got a great passer and a great athlete and a big guy going up to get the ball. But there's a hesitancy now in throwing that pass because of the way it's being defended.
But here's the
Now
thing. Go ahead.
I do criticize D'Antoni though because they played essentially this is almost like a money play. It's a money branching play for the Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, after they run that screen and roll, if you trap off that screen and roll and Capella dives to the rim, that lob pass is a money branching play for them. The Warriors have been defending it pretty much the same way. That back end help comes from the left or the right side of the floor to swoop in back. They haven't given a different look. They haven't
But
given a
here's the
different
thing,
look.
B, and this goes back to my earlier point. As great of a passer as James Harden is, and we don't give James Harden quite enough credit on the show. This is the reason why, because regular season James Harden has yet to show up in the playoffs in his full form. We've never seen James Harden as good as he was in the regular season, and most stars that we put on that pedestal get better, right?
Yes,
LeBron, better. Kobe, better. Shaq, better. Tim
Mike,
Duncan,
better.
better. I mean, Mike's the ultimate GOAT, right?
Right.
Better. So Magic Johnson, better. So
Yep.
we're used to stars getting better, not getting worse. And James Harden, even if it's only marginally, is consistently worse. And sometimes he's way worse. And
Yeah.
until he gets better, I'm not putting him in that best player conversation. I ain't trying to hear no comparisons to Michael Jordan. But my point
Nah,
is,
yeah, that's crazy.
if Chris Paul was handling the rock more, he's a better passer than James Harden. It's like that you it's like
I
watching my
agree.
team. Like you play a lot of my team. Isn't this like watching people play my team, what the Rockets are doing? They're just gonna shove option 1 and 2 down your throat no matter
Yeah.
what. And you shut that off and they do not have the court vision and the IQ to see the open corner shot that you're leaving off of to force the extra rotation. That's
Yeah.
what they
I
look
mean,
like. They look
that's what
like a
they look
my
like.
team.
Yeah. And it's I'm disappointed. I really am. I'm disappointed because I really expected them to give a better effort and a better showing than what they're giving. I really did. And it just hasn't been. And a big thing, if you look at the assist numbers for James Harden in the postseason, they are drastically down, right, from the regular season the last 3 years. So you know what that tells me, and it's kind of speaking to what you just said. You're getting defended a different way and with a different level of intensity because this is postseason as well, and you are going into autopilot. You're like, I'm taking a shot. I'm taking a shot because that's panic ball. That's
Hmm.
panic ball because instead of running an offense, making the right plays, he's doing one or two. He's doing, okay, I'll give him three things. He's breaking you down off the dribble and going to the step back. He's breaking you down off the dribble and trying to get the shoulder in front of the guy so he can draw the foul or get to the lane, or he's running the lob if he gets trapped. Those are the only three things he's doing.
Correct.
He's not doing anything else. And that to me is on him. But like I said, I also think it's on D'Antoni. I think too many times, man, head coaches get to the point where they stop coaching their superstars. They stop coaching their superstars because D'Antoni knows that's bad basketball.
I
He
see
knows
that
it is.
that's the one thing I would disagree on because the whole team is a well-oiled dumb basketball machine. This is D'Antoni ball. I don't think there's anything happening that he doesn't want to happen. That's why their
Well,
go-to game isn't like you hear coaches all the time talk about, what we need to do on defense. We need to be more efficient. We need to make better decisions. What they do, crying about officiating. Oh, the flopping that normally works ain't working right now. And the officials game one, they like Steph Curry got up to 5 fouls and he turned into the Terminator. Like he was able to just shoot his chest out at people like he was Iron Man or something. I don't know what was happening there. Like he fouled James Harden like 19 times after that, and they didn't call a one of them. I get it, but it wasn't like the whole game was completely lopsided. Y'all taking bad shots. Y'all passing up good shots. Y'all are missing an open man. I don't hear any of that from D'Antoni, which means the plan is working. He just wants them to do it better.
yeah, I mean, I like I said, well, I do think that D'Antoni's offenses ran a little smoother in Phoenix with with Steve Nash at the helm, because I just think that his approach was different. The way they ran their offense was different. Yes, it was a lot of screen and roll with Amari Stoudemire. Stoudemire was a better player than Clint Capella is
Yeah,
now. That's
yeah,
for sure the case. But Steve Nash did a better job getting other people involved, and of
yeah.
course
And Sean Marion was
he
also
didn't shoot
better
as many, and also he
than
didn't
yeah,
shoot as much.
yeah.
So I think there's another layer to D'Antoni ball that is being suppressed by Harden's greatness.
I blame D'Antoni, not Harden.
Yeah, I mean, I think I blame them both. It's the same thing though. This is why I blame them both, because you didn't blame D'Antoni with Chris Paul though, and I think it's a similar thing. These are both two great players. These are both two Hall of Fame guys who you do have to put some responsibility on for them to step outside of what they're doing. This get the tunnel vision away. You are a freaking great player, dude. James Harden doesn't have to make another jump shot. He doesn't have to take another step back. He's in the Hall of Fame already. You
Hmm.
know, there's an expectation on a guy of that caliber. And I think he's fallen beneath it with his decision making, with his lack of adjustments, and with his overall inefficiency. So,
Well, again, I've seen no evidence of regular season James Harden in the playoffs yet. So I
yeah,
don't know.
in
This
any of
might
these
be him.
years,
Yeah,
in
and
any,
never, never.
in
I've
any of
never,
the
I've
years,
never seen. It hasn't
because
happened yet.
if you
Even
look
when
at
they,
the
even
numbers that
against
drop,
Utah.
all of them drop.
Yeah. So until I see him be a better player in the playoffs in the regular season, this is what I expect from him. So it's not necessarily that I'm taking blame off of him. In fact, I give James credit because his defense is a lot better this year than it's been in the
It's a
past.
lot better.
A
Oh
lot
God,
better.
it's a
A lot
lot
better.
better. It's a lot better. I mean, like even his willingness to do it is just, and that's really about 85% of it anyway. Just
Yeah.
wanting to with defense. Like I watched him body up on Durant in the post on several
His post
occasions
defense is actually pretty good
because
because he's
he's
so big.
strong as an
He's so
ox.
strong. Absolutely. He's very
I
strong.
mean, dude, if you look at this dude, like I was looking at him yesterday, and I've watched him since he was a rookie, even sophomore year at Arizona State, but he was nowhere near as big as he is now. But I'm looking at him, whenever the game was, and I'm just looking at him. I was like, this is a freaking power forward. I'm like, this dude has the beef of a power forward. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know what he's listed as, but if he's a pound under 240, I'm
He's
shocked.
240 easy. He's
If he's
240
a
easy
pound
because
under
he's six
240, I'm shocked.
five, and
Yes.
Kobe was 235 at his biggest. I
Really?
think.
I didn't think Kobe was ever that big. I thought he was more
Yeah.
like 215, 220.
No, he got up to 235 one year. I think it might have been the year he came back from knee surgery. I'm not sure. It might have
Mm,
been one of his early 24 years. He was jacked. He came
mhm.
back like monster size. But even then, he wasn't as big as James was. And
Nowhere
James,
near.
he wasn't as big as James was. And James is only an inch shorter than
Yeah.
Kobe.
I mean,
So
he's a massive dude, man. I
big
mean,
guy,
it's
big
so
guy.
funny because I was looking at like I've met K Spade several times, like several times
Yeah.
I've met K Spade. And K Spade's a tall guy, right?
Hmm.
Very thin, but he's tall. So if you look at a video, like K Spade
Of
has
him
this
and
video on his channel
Harden.
with James Harden.
Yeah.
James Harden makes K Spade look like a little guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like a little bitty guy. So he's a big dude, which is not doing him any favors in this conversation. So, right. So moving on to the next thing, we're going to talk about a look at the upcoming NBA free agency class, and this is something that I know that Mr. 1989 will love, because he is a diehard Clippers fan, and I know he has all of his stakes on the Clippers free agency situation. And so, okay, I got two things I want to talk about. I want to talk about which team is the better free agent destination, the Knicks, the Clippers, or the Nets. Because I think right about now, those three teams to me stand out as potentially the most desirable places to go for for multiple free agents. Now, there, you could go and join LeBron, or you could go and join, if say if for instance Klay Thompson left or Kevin Durant left, you could go and try to fill their spot with Golden State or whatever. But as the team is currently constructed, without losing any of the major pieces on the current team, which team would you think is the best? So which one should we go to first? Should we look at the upcoming NBA free agency class overall? Well, I think we should probably talk about the destinations first.
Okay. So let's talk about the destinations first.
Okay.
So for the Knicks, so you have Knicks, Clippers, and Nets in that order, right?
No, well, not. I didn't put it in order
Okay.
necessarily, but I have Knicks, Clippers, or Nets. Which of those three teams do you think is three teams offer the best free agent situation for top tier
Okay.
free
So
agents?
here's the thing. I think we need to take some of the simplicity out of the question, because the free agents are different ages,
Yes.
positions, and points in their career.
Well, no,
Like,
I said what I meant is top tier. I said the second time I mentioned it, I said top tier free agents. So I'm talking about
even in the top
the
tier,
max guys.
Kyrie Irving is younger than Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard is in between those two, and I think those years make a difference. So I think for a guy like Kevin Durant, if Kevin, when I was watching the playoffs, I'm thinking if Kevin Durant was on the Nets, they would destroy the 76ers. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
literally just that. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm just watching the games and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
If they simply had Kevin Durant and nothing else about this team was different, they would destroy the Sixers and probably be the favorites to go to the finals. So for that reason, I think the Nets would be a great place for Durant to go right now. I don't think that's a great situation for Kyrie Irving because they have D'Angelo Russell. And even though Kyrie Irving is a better player than D'Angelo Russell, if they gave up D'Angelo Russell to get Kyrie Irving and his bulky knees and non-passing self, I'll flip a table up in here. So I don't want that to happen. So I don't think Kyrie Irving works in Brooklyn. Um, I think Kyrie Irving to the Clippers, like if Kyrie and Kawhi went to the Clippers, that team automatically launches into like the stratosphere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You're saying, did you say who on the Clippers now?
Kyrie and Durant on the Clippers,
Oh yeah.
or
Oh yeah.
Kyrie and Kawhi on the Clippers. I
Yeah.
think both of those situations work out really, really, really well.
Hmm.
I actually think Kawhi would work really well in one of the New York teams. I think that would be a great move for him because he's young enough that he can wait 1 or 2 years for them to come along. That's my problem with KD. He's 30. The
Hmm.
Knicks are so young. I like a lot of the Knicks players. I love everybody loves Mitchell Robinson now, but we love Mitchell Robinson. I think Knox is going to be fine. I I think very highly of Trier. I mean, any rookie that for most of his rookie season was almost 50% from the field and 40% from three in a fairly limited role, that's going to be great going forward. He has a lot of potential, but I think the Knicks need another year or two to bake. So I think the younger free agents could go to New York, low expectations, let them bake a little while. The other key with the Knicks is who do they get in the draft?
Yeah.
Because you're like me. If we get Ja Morant, again, you trade Ja Morant for one of these fools, table flip. I want to see it. I don't care. I want to see it. Right? I want to see with this triple double monster jumping over people, faster than everybody, ball handle, great passer. Don't play no defense, but who does? I want to see that on my team first, especially when we got a bunch of young talent. Because you're in a Golden State, Sacramento Kings, Philadelphia 76ers situation where you have a bunch of young players and y'all just need to sit back, coach them, and see what spots you need to fill. You need to be a little more patient. I think the Clippers and the Nets don't need to be patient. out of those two destinations, here's the problem. The Clippers are in the Western Conference, whereas the Nets, I think, can see immediate success because if Kawhi leaves, ultimately you're just dealing with Milwaukee. I think everything else is not an issue.
You
Mazique, you
know,
good?
I
Oh,
feel
there
I
you go.
feel like I really love I really love the Clipper core. I really do. And I also really love the Knicks core. I think uh, but I also like Brooklyn, being and that's the reason why I put those three teams there, and also because of their financial situation. They all three of those teams are among the teams, the three highest teams, or the teams that are estimated to have the most money to spend on free agency
And they all have great coaches, and they all appear to have great front offices right now.
right now. Yeah, it would seem everything is in place. If I were to like just kind of start putting players different places and just saying put these guys here, put these guys here, put these guys here, and I was totally separating what I want from my team and all of that, I would say Kyrie and Kevin Durant go to the Knicks, and the Knicks get if the Knicks get the number one pick, you take Zion Williamson. And I think with what they have right now, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant with Zion Williamson, Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, Alonzo Trier, um, Dennis Smith Jr. coming off the bench, or maybe you move him and add something else. That is a team
Hmm.
that should come out of the East to me. I mean, the only
See,
way I think that they shouldn't come out of the East is if somebody gets injured,
so
because
here's what I don't like about it.
mhm,
What I love about both the Clippers and the Nets is you have a lot of guys who know how to play.
mhm,
Now, the Nets have a problem. They don't have any bigs really. All right, Jared Allen's going to turn into a good player. We don't know if he's a 4 or 5, but they need one or two more big bodies. But I'm looking at both the Clippers and the Nets, and I'm saying, man, these guys are just a superstar away from being a serious problem.
right,
Now, what I like about the Clippers is defensively, they're excellent. What I don't love about them is I don't think their structure is in place long term. They got Lou Williams scoring a bunch of buckets. You got to replace that and then see what it happens next. I don't think Pat Beverly's a long term solution, you know?
he's not.
And Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, great young point guard, but he looks like he could be a great young backup, be your Sean
Yeah,
Livingston going down the road. He doesn't necessarily look
mhm,
like it. Whereas I look at the Nets, and first of all, Sean Marks might be a genius, right? Because we have to remember that the Nets turned into the Nets coming from a horrible situation. This team should be the laughing stock of the league after that trade with Boston. And they are literally in a position where they could leapfrog Boston next year if the summer goes bad for Boston and good for them, right?
right.
And that's
And
that's crazy. That's like
and I
crazy that they're in that position.
and I actually have the formula for them to leapfrog Boston. If and I don't think that what I'm saying here is like completely far fetched, right? So here's what I think is best for the Clippers. And so, Mr. 1989, get ready. You're either ready to throw something at your screen or get ready to applaud. I think ideally for the Clippers is Kimball Walker and Kawhi Leonard.
I think that's great for them.
I
I
think
agree.
and I think it's not a implausible concept because they're already running an offense in a way where the point guard, lead guard up top is free to score. I mean, if think about it like this, if you bring Lou Williams back, right? If you got Lou Williams, you got Kemba Walker starting at point guard. You put Lou Williams in the same situation he's supposed to be. If he's hot, you got them both on the floor at the same time. But you also got Kawhi freaking Leonard. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that is the best scenario for the Clippers right there. And you're taking a team who was able to be really competitive with a team that everybody thinks is going to win the championship. I mean, you got to think about it. If the Clippers were playing another team outside of Golden State, are we looking at a 7-game series in the first round, or are we looking at them pulling an upset? I think they made a good enough account of themselves against the Warriors to wonder about that as they are currently constructed. You add in Kemba Walker and Kawhi Leonard without taking away any major contributor. I think
And I tell you what,
you got a
Kemba Walker's
situation.
greatest weakness is his defense.
Yes, that is true.
But you give him the Doc Rivers
Yes,
and watch out.
and and
Because
and he'll at least be something that's not a deficiency. You know,
correct.
he'll
And with Kawhi on that roster, with everything else they have going, and Jerry West in the front office, yeah, I think if they got their hands on Kawhi Leonard and Kemba Walker, they'd be a serious problem. I don't know where Kyrie Irving should go. I almost feel like he should stay in Boston, to be honest with you. Um, the Knicks would make sense right now, but if they get Ja Morant, then all of a sudden it doesn't make sense.
yeah, yeah. If the Knicks got Ja Morant, then yes, that doesn't make sense. But for me, I feel like for the Knicks, I almost feel like, and I know this is not what you want, but I almost feel like Zion makes more sense for them.
But they don't
And
have a choice in that. They have a draft. That's what I'm saying. Like the draft is a roll of the dice.
no. I'm saying even if so, say for instance the Knicks get the number one pick, right? It's so then they do have a choice because
Right.
they're the ones setting
But
the pace.
I think they're going to take Zion if they get number one.
Right.
But if
That's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
I'm saying like I mean, because they don't have to, they could trade back and say we really like Ja. And we traded back to number two to somebody who really wanted Zion and added assets for that. I know you probably love that. I don't think it would be a horrible thing,
no, I'm
but
50-50. I don't know what Zion's going to turn into. You
right.
know, so I would if either way if they did that, I would be happy if we got Zion. I would be happy if we got Ja. My thing is, whoever goes first is definitely 110% going to take Zion Williamson. I don't think there's an NBA owner who's going to pass up on him, like anywhere,
Yeah,
like
well,
because he's just too box office.
I would hope the Bulls would. I really would.
See, I don't
And
think they would. Though. I think and that's why I say with the Knicks, I say if they get Ja Morant, because I think whoever goes second is probably going to take Ja Morant, right?
yeah, I honestly I would rather be second. I would rather be second in in this draft
Hmm.
because I wouldn't want to be the person who passed on Zion,
I'm with you.
but I wouldn't mind not getting Zion
Yeah.
because you never know. Maybe Zion is a transcendent player, but everything in over 35 years of basketball tells me that a guy who I think when the combine numbers come out is going to measure something like 6'5 3/4. I'm just telling you, I've been looking at these guys and estimating heights, but right before the combine for over 10 years and writing scouting reports for these guys. When I look at him and I see him stand next to players on the floor, and I see him stand next to different athletes who he's being interviewed by, and we know their heights and so on, he looks like he's going to measure 6'5 3/4, somewhere in
Hmm.
there
Hmm.
at the combine. So we're talking about a 6'5", 6'6" to just go ahead and give him that 275-pound power forward.
Well, here's my
And
thing with that I give up to him,
mhm,
right? We've seen really unique players before, and I've never seen anything like Zion Williamson. I watched Larry Johnson. It wasn't Zion
it wasn't
Williamson.
like that. The
I watched Charles
athleticism,
Barkley. It wasn't
yeah,
Zion Williamson.
the nimbleness is what's the difference. That's the
Zion
difference.
Williamson is Shaq meets Vince Carter, right? So I don't know what happens with that.
You know what I think it is more so than that, and I got it because I got a new comp for him. I got a new comp for him. I used to say Larry Johnson, Kenneth Faried, but I think that that's actually a little too low, a little too low. What I think he is there's a lot of Dominique Wilkins in him.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of Dominique Wilkins in him. But then on the other hand, from a defensive and a rebounding standpoint, he is like an undersized. Um, as somebody saying Sean Marion, I can kind of see that too. It's like a
But he's
Sean.
so much more agile than Sean
He's so much
Marion
more.
was.
He's much
That's what I'm
like his
saying.
feet
He's
are
like
so
nobody I've
good.
ever seen. Yeah, like you look at his hop steps, his instincts, his
Dude,
his motor, his
the high
attitude. Like
his attitude, and that doesn't get enough credit.
yeah, and
That
he's
doesn't get enough
18
credit.
years old. Like we judging him like he's a college graduate. He's
See,
he. he was a prom lad this time last year.
See, I love this kid, right? I love this kid. I think he is a fantastic kid. Like, and I don't think it's an act. I don't think it's him just
No, it's
I
too
don't think it's
genuine.
that at all. I think this is a really good kid. And he happens to be a freak of nature athlete. But what worries me is that we're talking about a 6'6" power forward who is overly dependent on athleticism that he will not have on this level for that long.
I
And
agree. Well, here's the thing: he has athleticism, right?
mhm,
So he's going to be reliant on it.
of course.
I don't want to punish him for that. I want to say, what other skills do you have besides that?
Oh, you know what? I got a better comp. I just got it. I
Okay,
just
what you
got it.
got? What you got?
Dominique Wilkins, Derrick Rose.
Get out of here, man. Ain't that,
Dude, here's what
Zion's good at defense, right?
Derek wasn't a horrible defender, but he was nowhere. Yeah, and you're right about that. I should have put somebody who was more defensive focused in that comp. But what I'm saying when I say that, I'm talking more from a physical standpoint, right? Because
But he's bigger than both of those guys on the same scale.
well, no, I don't no. That Neek was a good 230, 235. Neek
But
was a
he,
strong guy.
but he was 6'8".
Yeah, no. What I
Zion 6'5" and
here
60
here
pounds heavier than
here,
Dominique Wilkins.
no, I don't think he's six. He's a big, but here's my point. Here's why I'm saying that, right? I'm saying that from an athletic standpoint because the torque and the explosiveness that he possesses in short areas and short spaces, the way he explodes off 2 feet
Yeah, I'm
is
with you on all that.
very similar to Rose and Dominique. Neek depended a lot on strength. A lot. If you look at Neek in Georgia when he played in college basketball, he did a lot from the post
But
with
at
the
the same
turnaround.
time, Neek wasn't, because here's the thing, and this is more of a thing in football, right? You notice how in football, sometimes the shorter the running back, the harder they are to deal with,
The better.
right?
I've
Because
always felt that way.
so there's exceptions, but like generally, when you
Yeah,
get those
lower
guys that's
center of
like
gravity.
5'10", and see,
Yeah,
this is the thing about Zion. Until he gets to the NBA, we don't know how much of a factor that is. So, and this is what I'm saying: when the guy is coming in a super marketable package, like you talking about, season tickets for Chicago and New York. We're brainwashed. Everybody goes to see them, no matter what they do. But there's other TV deals, marketing opportunities, commercials, and stuff like that, branching of all kinds, merchandise. You're just not gonna pass up Zion Williamson. So that's why I say with New York is who they get. It's only a 14% chance to get the top pick. You can talk about like New York has the best chance. They don't have the best chance. They just can't fall below
No. They
5.
don't. They don't have
So
the. They
my
don't have.
thing is, if they get second, they're probably going to wind up with Ja. If they get third, they're probably going to wind up with RJ Barrett. And whoever,
I don't like that one.
I don't love it either, but we'll see. I mean, he's a kid, and there's things about RJ Barrett I like. I don't love the shooting and the fact that he doesn't seem to have an elite skill. But young boy, you never know. Sometimes those guys go into the summer and they come out and you like, where did this come from?
You know what I like about him? I like that he is a baller. He's a killer.
Yeah,
Like
love that.
mentality wise,
Absolutely
he's a
love
killer.
that.
And I'll take that because I think there's something to gain from that. But the same concerns that you have, I have because I, it bothers me that he's not a freak athlete. And
Hmm.
if you're not a freak athlete and you're also not an insanely high percentage shooter either,
Hmm.
that
What are we
worries
what are we
me.
talking about? What are we
That
talking about?
worries me. That worries me. So yeah, we'll
So
see.
yeah, but anyway, if I was to list the destinations, honestly, because of Jerry West, I want to say the Clippers. But if I was a superstar who wasn't a guard, going to that guard core in Brooklyn, being in the Eastern Conference, knowing that from 5 down, you don't have to worry about those teams. I think the top of the Eastern Conference is really strong. But if Kawhi leaves the Raptors, now you're talking about from 4 down.
Mhm.
And if because they have more mobility in the Eastern Conference too. So if Kawhi and Kyrie Irving switch teams, you're really just looking at Milwaukee at this point. No disrespect to Indiana, but if you're one of those free agents, you ain't worried about them. You could literally go to Brooklyn and be like, I just gotta worry about Giannis.
Yeah,
Whereas, I'm of the mind that in the West, Golden State is still gonna be Golden State.
yeah. Well,
Clay ain't going nowhere,
unless Clay leaves.
but he ain't going nowhere, right?
Well, see that it's funny that you say that because I was about to. I got a beautiful setup for the Nets, and it's so Nets because it's lower profile. but I think that it could really work for them.
Clay ain't trying to come out to Brooklyn.
Well, Clay is the top shelf. But even if they don't get Clay, I think that I think there's other avenues for them to explore. You got Tobias Harris, you have Nikola Vucevic, and then one that I really, really like for their team is Julius Randle. I love Julius Randle for
Julius
their
Randle would
team.
be a good pickup for them. He'd be a
I
great pickup for them,
I
actually. See,
love
now,
that.
so that's a great example. Like if they got, Julius Randle and Kawhi Leonard, on paper, people would be like, "Oh, that's an okay free agency," but
But
the
it's a
reality of that
beautiful.
situation
It's
is like,
good.
what's going on right here?
Because you got to think. See, so many people. I'm telling you, 2K has been bad for people because so many people look at this team building thing like they're playing 2K or like they're playing my team. You gotta in real life, you gotta make this stuff fit, and
Yeah,
the skills and the chemistry and all of that stuff has to fit. The these teams are great teams when things fit. That's when they're great teams.
hmm
And you put Julius Randle with the way he plays now, that the hard drives to the basket, the improvement on defense.
and
He's
the
even shooting the
spacing
three.
of
He hitting
Brooklyn.
threes now. He
Yeah, he's great.
and I mean
Underrated, really
you
underrated right now.
dude, he averaged 21 and 7
Yeah,
coming off the bench for a lot of that time.
yeah, and he put up a couple of 30 and 10s this year.
Yeah, man,
And
I'm
he's still
telling
a
you.
young player. And again, the situation in New Orleans is less than desirable.
Exactly, which is why I think he might leave.
Yeah, and if you put him in a better situation, that's a good call out. Good job.
I
You
know,
okay?
I know.
Sometimes you ain't so bad.
I'm
You
trying to
like
tell
you like
you.
Slim Pepper Jack. Every once
I,
in a while you get a
every
hit.
once in a while I get a home run, bro. A grand slam, as a matter of fact.
I
So
said hit, but
I had a grand. You did see? You haven't been watching episodes. I hit a grand slam in the episode in my last episode. If you saw
when that one go up.
If you saw Slim Pepper Jack hit a grand slam on the Road to the Show series, somebody say something in the chat. If you saw
Because
that,
last time I saw Slim Pepper Jack, you were saying I got hits and did my job. Can't blame this one on me.
that's
That's what I
right.
saw. That's what I saw last. Maybe
Well,
I
I
missed the
did.
episode.
I had a game. I had a game where I hit
Okay,
a grand slam. I drove in, I think, another run. I was on fire.
let's take a
Oh yeah.
so to wrap it up. So we both kind of have the Nets number one. So my thing with the Nets and the Clippers, Jerry West, greatest of all time, right? Front office guy.
Definitely think he's in the conversation for sure.
Oh, I take Jerry above
I
basically.
haven't thought about that, so
Okay, fair enough. But he's in the conversation.
yeah,
Doc Rivers, as good of a coach as you get without being named Greg Popovich, right?
right.
And they have a lot of veteran pieces. They're already a playoff team. Great situation. But I think I like the young talent of Brooklyn better across the board. Younger coach in Kenny Atkinson, career-wise.
Mhm.
Um,
I like him
D,
though. Really like him.
fantastic.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell looks like he's going to be an absolute monster. Extremely underrated passer. You look at the way the Nets fought the 76ers, you saw they don't even have a big, and they're going up against Joel Embiid. The way they played defense on him by committee, quite frankly, if Joe hit a couple of shots for us, it'd be a totally
You
different
talking Joe Harris, right?
Joe Harris, yeah. He was like 0 for 12 in 2 games, which he's
That
the best
it's a
on
shame.
wide open shots. He pulled
It's
a Danny
crazy.
Green.
It's crazy, man. I got a stat. I did a video, and so I'm not gonna spoil it now, but I did a video. Uh the the quality of shooting that Joe Harris just demonstrated during the regular season this year was really
Insane.
insane. And
Insane.
so the fact that he was that bad in the postseason
Yeah.
is really disappointing.
0 for 12 stretch over 2 games.
Yeah.
Disgusting. And what I said if the Nets hit shots, Philly's in trouble. Best
Mhm.
3-point shooter in the league didn't hit shots. They got away with one. I didn't think they should feel particularly good about that because literally, if he had just hit some of those shots, that series would have been much longer. So, and the way they played, they didn't hang their heads. They didn't talk crap. They didn't say any, you know what I'm saying? They stayed together in defeat. I
Mhm.
think they got a good, valuable learning experience. It was a classic first time we made the playoffs kind of situation
Yeah.
against a team with 4 All-Stars. If you insert any of the top flight free agents that's not a point guard onto that team, whether it's Kawhi, whether it's Kevin Durant, you automatically get a team that should be top 3 in the Eastern Conference. If you add a secondary guy, like you're saying, like a Julius Randle, that you talk about being good
You
for a
talking about
long time.
and you're talking about a top 2, 3 team in the East at the very least.
Right away. And here's the thing: I think with Kenny Atkinson and Sean Marks
Yes,
behind them,
yes,
because Sean Marks is just getting started.
yes,
He's been digging out of a hole and
yes,
came up with a playoff team.
and don't forget Spencer Dinwiddie off that
Oh,
bench.
love Spencer. I try to say their guard core because I think their guard rotation is all the way amazing. But Spencer Dinwiddie, again, you're talking about a guy, elite bench point guard. Like literally could be starting for most of the teams in the league coming off the bench. And
And
don't
you
whine about it. And he's
and you
cool with that role.
and you know what really irritates me?
His last name and his 70s goatee.
No, we had him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We gave him away.
Yep.
And now we're looking for a point guard.
Yep.
Insane. In the membrane. Just just crazy.
No, no.
It
Spencer and
makes me
Russell are both
distraught.
there. Dinwiddie's Mook Allen's asking in the chat, do they have to
No,
choose
I don't
between the
think they
two?
have to choose
No,
between.
they
I
just
think
Dinwiddie already signed. To my recollection, he already signed.
and,
They're going to look to retain D'Lo down the
and
road. I
what you
think he's
just said
restricted.
was what you just said was key. He's cool with it.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't want to start.
He's not tripping. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah,
he'd start if they want him to, but
yeah,
he's
yeah.
not.
No,
Spencer, one thing about Spencer Dinwiddie, if you pay attention to him, he's a different kind of cat.
he is. He is.
He's a
He,
different kind of cat. He's not that, so the way you would think all these other people think, he's a different kind of cat. Now he is about his money though. So I'm
he already got
saying that
paid. He
I
already got
don't
paid.
did he though?
I
I'm
think I
looking.
think they signed him.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah, he already got paid.
He's
It's
already
fine.
re-signed through well, he has a player option for 20 for the 21-22 season, but he signed an extension, a 3-year $34 million extension, which is a freaking bargain
Yeah, he's
for
excellent.
a 25-year-old point guard who has proven that he could start for most teams.
Yep. And he's got a tons of skills. He got pick and roll, finishing, shoot the three, great physique. The
Yeah,
guys. I mean, in
yeah.
terms of backup point guards, he's a 5-star
Oh,
prospect.
who has a better backup point guard?
Not many.
I
Not
don't
many.
know if anybody does.
I'm not sure if I could think of a better backup point guard off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody. He's 6'6".
Yeah,
I mean,
don't know if I could think
I
of
don't
anybody.
think anybody. I don't think anybody has a better backup point guard than him. Whose backup point guard averaged 17 points and 4.6 assists this season and knocked
Yeah,
down 81% of their free throws? I
yeah,
don't know anybody who's backup point guard who did that.
yep.
So yeah, I would think he would be the
Fast,
best.
tall.
Yeah,
Yeah. So if I was a player, I would choose the Nets. I could see how the Clippers would be number one. The Knicks, if I was a younger player, I like the Knicks because I like what they're doing going forward and they have a lot of flexibility and they could possibly sign another person because they have a lot of good young players. Because I think in terms of the young players going forward, the Knicks possibly have some of the most talented players. Like I really do think very highly of Mitchell Robinson and Trier. And I think Knox is still a roll of the dice, but it's a good roll of the dice because he's 6'9", he can already shoot the three, and he really is a late bloomer basketball wise. So
hmm
he's one of those guys that once he matures, you don't know what he could turn into. So the Knicks could like this draft class this year could wind up being wild for the Knicks, but I think they need time, you know. And
yeah,
I want them for today. Brooklyn, KD could have joined Brooklyn the day before the playoffs started, and they still be playing right now.
yeah. I think that's a good team. That is a
Yeah,
very good team. And they're one of those teams where I feel like it was good for them to make the postseason because they're already they're already moving where they're moving, and
100%.
making the playoffs didn't slow them down.
No, they're
So
competitive guys too. So
yes,
and Joel and B talking all that smack. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you, thank you, thank you. The young and Jared Allen backing up his young guys and being that veteran. Thank you,
hmm
thank you. This is we've seen great teams come together before. This right here, this is how it goes. So if the Nets manage to get somebody, I think, and plus it's Brooklyn, man. Like Brooklyn is a great place to live now too.
yeah.
That's I mean, obviously it's New York City,
Especially
but
if you already rich.
yeah, oh, if you're rich coming to New York, yeah, I mean you gonna have the time of your life. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's a little bit more low key than Manhattan just in terms of travel and stuff and like eating. It's just not as many people there,
yeah,
so you can live fairly close. And honestly, the way Brooklyn is, after you play for that team for a couple of months, people are just like, "Yo, what's up, D'Lo?" You just go about your business. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So yeah, I
It's
think I would pick Brooklyn first, and that's not a hometown thing. It's because I genuinely think the front office and the young talent are add superstar and stir. My problem with the Clippers is I think they're doing a lot of things with veteran talent, and I think some of that veteran talent has to move.
Hmm.
I don't think Danilo Gallinari and Patrick Beverly are here in 3 years contributing to a championship team. I think those guys get moved. Now, Jerry West has the talent to move them, and Doc Rivers has the talent to coach whoever they bring in, but it's not add Durant and stir the way it is with Brooklyn. I say literally, like you said, change nothing else about Brooklyn. Add Kawhi Leonard and Julius Randle, and the rest of y'all take a back seat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I wouldn't. I like the Clippers the best, just as an overall situation, because I feel like they're the closest to contention, but at the same token, I can see Patrick Beverly contributing down the line. I cannot see Danilo Gallinari as a part of contributing as a championship. He has to be one of the 3 to 5 worst defenders in the NBA.
I'm betting on father time with Beverly. Beverly's 6 feet tall,
Hmm.
and I mean I think he'll get spot minutes down the line. But
Yeah, yeah,
what he's
it's
doing
definitely
right
spot.
now, but this is what I'm saying. What he's doing right now, the Nets, what all of those guys are doing right now, 5 years they're all gonna be better at it year after year. There ain't too many people on the Clippers that are getting better.
Well, see, my thing is, I don't think you need Patrick Beverly to necessarily play the same role he's playing right now. If you add in somebody like Kimba, and you're at, because he's not going to get those same minutes,
Right.
and
But that's my
so
point though, is that with the Clippers, is I think Jerry and Doc can make it into a thing, but I think it's a new thing. Whereas the Brooklyn Nets, I tell them, don't change nothing. Just sign me and that guy over there, book it. We'll be playing in June.
and I don't think that's
Especially
crazy.
since the Nets could shoot.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's crazy at all. I don't know. I think it's probably Doc Rivers. I really like Doc Rivers, and I really like Steve Ballmer as an
I love
owner.
Doc.
I
Ballmer's
think,
great, but I also love Kenny Atkinson. So
yeah, I like Kenny Atkinson, but I just feel like their ownership and their overall vibe that they have right now is so inviting, and so it's so fan and player friendly right now. That
yeah,
overall vibe
I,
around
I
that
agree on
team.
all points.
So, but I really love the way D'Angelo is becoming a leader, and he's doing it the right way. So it's those two. It's
Yeah,
definitely
it's
those
definitely
two.
those two. That's what it is. Because when you look at D'Angelo and Spencer Dinwiddie, I'm like, man, can you go to a team with a better point guard, backup point guard situation than that team, considering D'Lo is still young?
Mhm.
And like I said, if you watch D'Lo, I know you started watching him a lot more as the season went on.
This year, I started
Like,
watching them a lot more this year.
yo, didn't it look like he was almost improving with every dribble sometimes?
It definitely he had definitely improved. I think month over month,
Like crazy. Like,
because he just his comfort level. It felt like, he had all of the things go on in LA that went on, not to mention the fact that he was still just a kid growing into his own game, and he was immature in a lot of ways. And I think he got to Brooklyn, and somebody was able to convince him to relax and just get better at basketball. And that's why I said what I said about, I think he's a top 5 point guard in the league. That's why I said that, because I just really feel that, I'm from watching him, man, watching his feel on the court, his ability to get his own shot, but then knowing when, all right, I just killed him for 4 straight buckets. Watch this dime. Just
oh,
that
it's
feel he feel he
underrated
has for the game.
passer, and I don't know how a young passer who has been projected to be a good passer goes so underrated, because I know he's also a scorer, but
Hmm.
I think from a passing perspective, there's not too many young point guards I'd take over him from a passing
No,
perspective. Just passing alone.
originally when he came out, they said that his best attribute was passing.
That's what I'm saying. He was supposed
That's
to be
what,
this great
yeah,
pick and roll player,
yeah,
and he shoots the ball for a couple of years, and people forget that that's in his skill set. And
yeah.
when I'm watching, there was this one game, and we could get off of it after this, but like they were playing against Portland in that long like overtime game, the game Nurkic got hurt,
Mhm.
and they were pressing him and taking the ball out of his hands, and the way he received the pressure, gave the rock up, came back, got it back. I mean, put somebody on his hip, take the floater, get fouled, make the pass. You don't see young point guards make elite level right play elite level decision making over and over and over again in sequence like that.
Yeah.
Usually a mistake or a hurried thing or blah blah will come up. I'm looking at that, and I really feel like he is that new age player that can fit into a lot of systems. And if I was Durant in particular, I would love to play with D'Lo. I could tell him some stuff about Steph and be like, do this, do that, boom, boom. Get with Kenny Atkinson, and we got all these shooters. We play hustle defense, and we're in a conference that's, you know, tough up top, but doesn't have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
Whereas with
I
the
would have.
Clippers, I got to play against Steph Curry and LeBron James and, Dame and Jokic. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just never ending, right? Like you're fighting for every inch.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, I love Brooklyn, and so I definitely think that it's something to be said for both of them.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump on. We're gonna move to Ask Us Bro before we start fighting each other in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, guys,
So
quick content alert for those of y'all who don't know. We're gonna run an exhibition set of Mortal Kombat after we do Ask Us Bro, and another content alert. Again, we mentioned it before, but if y'all not watching this guy play the show, fine entertainment. You're
I'm
not
the
gonna see a
best.
lot of fine baseball being
I'm the
played,
best.
but you will see a
Well,
lot of
I don't
fine
know.
commentary on bad baseball. And
I think
what's better, really, at the end of the day?
I really think that you ought to check the batting averages and slash lines for my players because I'm tearing the cover off the ball. If you look at my
You
franchise mode
definitely
with the Cubs,
you stop
dude,
swinging. I don't watch the Cubs franchise. I'm not.
see,
I,
you're
I like
missing.
the Barry and the SP. I'm not saying it's bad,
It's
but
beautiful. It's
it's it,
fan
it's
freaking tastic.
it's a lot of Chicago in your franchise mode. It's a lot of
Well,
Chicago,
you
and I got
doggone
a
right
I
it is.
I got a Chicago diet. Like I gotta come every week and
No,
get 16,000 milligrams of Chicago from you. I'm
well,
not getting it the rest of the week. So
well, you're
Slim
that's
Pepper
these are.
Jack, he trying to hold it down in Birmingham. You got
Do you
Barry
realize
handling it.
that the Birmingham Barons are a Chicago White Sox double A squad, right?
Yeah, but they ain't real Chicago. Y'all ain't acknowledging them. Y'all don't love them the way y'all love Kobe.
Well, you know they do love them because that's where Michael Jordan played when
Yeah,
he.
yeah, I remember.
So everybody,
Yeah,
Chicago, Birmingham. If Chicagoans don't know, but one White Sox minor league squad, they know the Birmingham Barons.
yeah.
Let's
No,
see.
we all remember Mike in the uniform.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's the uniforms changed a little bit, but yeah, it's still pretty much the same. He was kind of a little bit of the inspiration for Slim Pepper Jack. So big, tall, bald head black man, and it doesn't look like he should be playing baseball, but he's playing. Oh, wait a minute. We have okay, so let's see here. Oh, I messed that up. Is this all right? So I'm trying to get to our questions here. Let's see. All right, we had a bunch of questions. Okay, let's see something here. I need the admins. We got a couple admins out here. Y'all need to do y'all thing on Kobe Covington in here. Somebody let Kobe Covington in.
keep it on topic, brother. You are more than welcome, no matter what your views are. Just keep it on topic.
And keep it on topic. Keep
This
it
is
on
it's about
topic.
sports and gaming.
It's about sports and gaming, not uh, silliness.
There's plenty of other places you could talk about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know.
Here, all we ask
And
is you keep it
then
on
this
sports and gaming.
becomes the
Not
issue.
hard.
This becomes the issue when you tweet out the link. That's what happens. Why? What happened to the beginning of our
The
of
chat.
our yeah of our chat? We some of the questions that were here are
Hey,
not here.
fellas and or ladies, if you had a at me bro, ask us bro question from the beginning, can you please repost it? Because
Yeah,
we have
please,
lost the
because
beginning of the
for
chat.
whatever reason it phased out, and there's live YouTube for you. All right, but I do see one from Blake Bot J, and he says, "Was Brock Lesnar's retirement already discussed?" No, we did not discuss that because that just broke like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I wrote about that, and I gave pretty much what my take on it was. I thought it was a smart decision on his part, because for me, um, if you weigh the two promotions and the two businesses, right? Brock made a reported $12 million last year with the WWE, working a part-time schedule, not getting punched in the face for real.
Hmm.
Okay. So you're gonna have to now go and work 6 to 8 weeks of hard, real training to get prepared for one of the greatest fighters that ever lived,
Yeah.
who is probably going to knock you out.
Well, I felt like that was definitely going to be a ritual sacrifice for Brock Lesnar,
Yeah.
and a retirement pageant for
Yes.
DC. I don't
Yes.
think Brock had a snowball's chance at the hottest corner of hell of beating DC. I really didn't.
I don't think
Uh,
so either.
I thought he would have got mauled, like like he was covered in honey and somebody let the bears loose.
Yeah.
So him avoiding that situation to, you know, do the fine work at WWE is a smart move. He's going to be compensated well for it, and it's a good win for WWE in their little friendly talent battle with UFC. The only thing that's disappointing for me is that as a DC fan, I wanted DC to have a show match to go out on. I don't want them to dig up some corpse out of Bellator or something like that.
Well, no,
To get him to fight.
he's fighting Stipe
I
Miocic.
know
Like,
he's
yeah.
supposed to fight Stipe, but I have zero interest in a rematch of that fight because it's another one of those lose-lose scenarios, right? If Stipe takes another L to DC, we basically just lose luster on Stipe that he could maybe get against somebody else. And if DC loses, he goes out on a bad note. So we already seen this fight. Maybe DC beats him again. He beat him last time reasonably convincingly.
No,
So
very convincingly.
yeah, I'm being kind, but being nice because I like Stipe. He's a good guy, a good fighter. But I don't really want to see that fight again. It's one of those fights where I don't really. It's like Conor and Khabib. I'm good on that.
Well, I'm good on Conor Habib for a different reason.
Yeah, but
I'm good
I
on
just mean
Conor
from a
Habib. I just
martial
don't
arts
trust them.
standpoint. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't have a martial arts curiosity about Stipe and DC. So, and I would rather see Stipe come back against somebody else and build himself back up going forward, not lose to a guy who's just kind of having a farewell paycheck. That's the
Yeah,
only bummer for me with the Brock thing.
I mean, I would have liked to see DC get that huge, great payday that he deserves. That for sure. I would have also, I mean, like to see Brock take a L. I'm not a Brock fan. I'm not a Brock fan at all. And I'm not pleased that he's coming back to the WWE as somebody who is also a fan of that promotion as well. So I'm not pleased with that because he's not good for the WWE either. So yeah, I wish Brock would just go to his ranch and just be rich and live a long life,
Just
live a long
go
life
TV.
and just be great and by yourself.
Uh,
Yeah, that's what I wish would happen, but it's not going to go that way. So yeah. All right, another question. Are we doing okay, no, I thought we was going someplace else. All right, Sean Singletary says, "How did you both get into your chosen professions? Keep up the great content."
okay, well, I draw professionally,
Hmm.
and so if you're asking how I got into drawing professionally, I got hired at a pretty young age when I was 19 years old to work for a company, a web animation company. If you're asking how I got into comics, I was doing toy boxes for GI Joe,
Hmm.
and which was just a dream job for me. I loved it.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and I did that for several years. I got to make up a bunch of GI Joe toys. It was a lot of fun. And they did a GI Joe comic, and they needed an artist. And since I was already drawing GI Joe, it was a pretty good fit for me to get in. That's how I first started doing comics.
That is pretty awesome. I never knew that. That's pretty
Thank you.
dope. Okay, for me, I have loved sports my entire life and loved gaming pretty much just as long too. When I was a kid, my mother used to say she'd be feeding me in the high chair, and I would do my arm like this, and I would not eat until sports highlights went off. So I've always been that guy. But I didn't grow up with the internet, so I didn't, getting on was much difficult then, and I didn't even really, African American kid growing up on the South Side of Chicago. I never thought that that was even something that could be a career. But I'm not a traditional 9 to 5 type of a worker. That's never has never worked for me. So it was, what was it, 2006 or seven? I lost my job, and I was already trying to do do YouTube, and I was already had my own website. I was trying to post sports, video game stuff on the website because I found Operation Sports just on a whim. I was searching for something else, and I found Operation Sports, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "There is somebody out there like me. This is what I do. This is me." And it really put a battery in my back that I could do something like that. So I started my own website. It was called franchiseplay.org. And I was post my little stuff up there, and I would try to go into forums and drop my little article links in, and it was tough. But when I lost my job, I started going full in, and I said, you know what, let me send out this that Bleacher Report was letting people, submit sample writings. So I said, let me go ahead and put mine in, and I put it in, and they said, you know, we'll take it, we'll let you write. And I said, okay, cool. And I started writing just one piece here and there. And then they said they liked my writing, and they asked me to come on and cover the Chicago Bulls, which is of course right in my alley. So I covered the Bulls for about 3 months, and then the guy said the editor at the time then extended that out to covering the NBA, and they liked that. And so then I became a part of the breaking news team, and we started doing that, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And right about the time I started to get I had kind of outgrown the Bleacher Report and where they were. I got offered the Forbes thing, and it's been a great blessing. It's been a great
Yeah,
blessing.
shout out to Operation Sports, where so many of the people in our community met and came from or were inspired by.
Yeah,
Shout out to Steve Noah. Follow him
he
on
is the
Twitter.
man. He is the
Millennium.
man.
Follow him on Twitter. Still love Operation Sports. I don't have the time to be going on there arguing with folks. I do enough of that right here with you guys. But yeah, still love Operation Sports and what they do over there and have done for the sports gaming community.
Yeah, Steve's the man, man. Without Steve, I wouldn't even, there's no way I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing, because I would have never known or thought that it was possible. And I had an opportunity to meet him one time. He doesn't do a lot of like public stuff. I've had a he's like Al Heyman or something. But I had an opportunity to meet him one time, and in the brief little moment we had, he was really cool, really nice. I didn't even get a chance to tell him. I've told him over Twitter. We talk, here and there sometimes. So I've told him about how much his impact has meant to me. But yeah, just a real cool dude. All right, so we also have with house sports and all around pop culture covered today. Do you think that would have done more to help or hurt the legacy of some superstar athletes? Um, I definitely think that there are a few athletes who may have had a really tough time today if they were, I mean, it's hard to say because you never know I mean, there's a human being, so they would adjust perhaps and do some of the same types of things, but not considering the person adjusting, and just some of the things we know about certain players, certain athletes, Mike with the gambling and stuff like that. uh that kind of stuff would have been really, it could have been a problem. But Mike's a smart guy, so you would have to think that he'd be different. He'd know the line, just
Yeah,
like right now, he knows the line now,
yeah,
so
people tend to do what they get away with.
exactly.
And the thing that happens with along with social media comes the dangers of social media, and then people warning you about the dangers of social media, and then people paid to warn you about the dangers of social media. So I don't think you can take a locker room camera and just put it on Magic Johnson back in the 80s. You have to also take the entire mechanism that goes with it. So if you're asking if more of that stuff just came out public, then yeah, but that was back in the day where if nobody said nothing, nobody knew nothing. Whereas now there's cameras everywhere. So every conversation is recorded by camera or microphone. So people change their behavior because they know that there's very few secrets left in the world.
I would agree. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So definitely. Okay, so M71408 says, what are your top 5 NFL running backs of all time?
Am I first?
You can go first. I went first on the last one. You can go first on this one.
Okay. Walter Payton, probably number one. Number two, Barry Sanders. Uh, I didn't get to see him, but from the highlights and everything else, I have to say Jim Brown. I put the first two guys not because they're better than Jim Brown, but because I got to see a lot of their stuff. Um, I would put fourth probably O.J. Simpson, and then last I would probably have Adrian Peterson.
I would pretty much be really close to that, except for I would have Jim Brown number two
Hmm.
behind Walter Payton. I would have Barry Sanders three. Um, I would have, I think I'd have OJ four, and then I would have it's
I thought about other
honestly,
guys. I
honestly,
thought about
honestly,
LaDainian and Marshall Falk, but I think
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say
AP's
Marshall
just
Faulk,
too much of a monster though. Like
but
AP's just
I
too
would
much of a
say
monster.
Marshall Faulk because Adrian Marshall Faulk didn't have any weaknesses.
No.
AP had a glaring weakness. He was not a good receiver.
Right. And that's the thing though. Like when we say running back, do we mean at running? Because
No, we mean
okay,
that plays
just
the
like
position,
overall
just
playing the
overall play the
position.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Marshall Falk, I really do. He was a great runner, but he was in that Westbrook era, that Brian Westbrook era, where as a tailback you could really catch a lot and
Well,
get
I
a.
don't think it was the Westbrook era. I think it was the Falk era. I think Brian
No,
Westbrook
I'm
was
saying
living
I'm
in the
saying I'm
Marshall Falk
saying
era.
I'm saying that at that time it was that offense, because it's a copycat league, and that
Absolutely.
offense was something that the league was into at that time.
Well, and
Whereas
it was really originated before them though with Roger Craig and
yeah,
with the 49ers. The first do whatever 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving in the same season. So it kind of started with him, the West Coast offense throwing the ball to the backs more. But Marshall Falk took it to another level,
yeah,
you
but
know.
if I had to choose which of those two players to just put on my team and build around it, I'd probably take AP because he's just a freak monster, and I know if I have a great quarterback and great receivers around that, you can't load up on him because he ain't been on
See,
the
here's my
greatest
thing.
teams.
Here's always my thing about running backs. First of all, I think running backs are generally the most overrated position in football. If you look at it, if you just take a look at how often do you ever see a great, truly great running back win a Super Bowl? It's rare. It's rare. Walter Payton won when Walter Payton won his Super Bowl. He was not even anywhere close to his prime. Walter Payton's prime is 75 through 77. It was 76 through 79. That's his absolute prime. That's when he's just, oh my God, right? No Super Bowl at that time. He had to win. He won one in 85 when he was not nearly the same guy. As great
Hmm.
as Adrian Peterson was, no Super Bowls. As great as Barry Sanders was, no Super Bowls. And most people will tell you who's the best running back between Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith. Barry Sanders, more spectacular of an athlete, the whole nine. But Emmett won the Super Bowls in a less spectacular fashion. Emmett's an underrated guy. He's not in my top five. He's an underrated guy because of his ability to pass block, his
Oh yeah, he's great.
his absolute the rarity of fumbles for him, and just like he didn't do things spectacularly, but very rarely would you see the first guy bring Emmitt Smith down. Now it wasn't going to be because he juked him, but it was because he plowed through a little bit, got an extra yard and a half, 2 yards. He was just a winning football player. And I think he was actually a little bit more of a winning football player than Barry Sanders, although Emmett ran behind the greatest offensive line of the era, and that's a huge aspect of
And
it.
behind that offensive line, you got Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and everything
Yeah,
else. So,
but Troy Aikman is actually a slightly above average quarterback
hmm.
who was very smart and had all kinds of weapons, and he had like I said, the fantastic offensive line. I would take a great offensive line over a great running back every day of the week.
I totally agree. But the question was about running backs.
Yeah,
R5 was pretty much the same
yeah, for the most part, I put Marshall Falk in there though.
because I felt like AP and Marshall Falk was kind of a pick 'em. But again,
Honestly, I think
I take the
Marshall
freak
Falk should
athlete.
probably be higher on my list. Honestly, he
Hmm.
probably should be more like third. To be, I really just as a guy who affected wins losses. I think I don't know if there anybody besides Walter Payton
It's
affect
hard
wins
for me to
losses more.
separate how great that offense was in St. Louis.
Yeah,
They have so many weapons.
but he was the
Uh,
best player and he was the most versatile weapon.
he was, and that's why I said, he's kind of on my list. I wash between whether I want to pick him at AP, but I just kind of go with the freak.
Yeah, AP's a freak. I mean, he's the AP was just so fun to watch. He's just so fun to watch. Or is
Yeah.
so fun to watch. He's not retired, so
Right. And
uh,
and part of me thinks like if you put AP on the St. Louis Rams, they might have won,
it
two
won't be the
more
same
championships.
because you need that receipt. The fact that you could split Marshall out wide and create
Yeah.
those
No,
mismatches
yeah,
was
absolutely. I think that was
huge.
important.
It was huge. All right, the next one is with many seeing this as possibly, this is from 1989, as the end of the Warriors dynasty with them possibly losing two key players. What team is best set up to take the mantle?
The Golden State Warriors. I don't see any end of any dynasty. Um, the problem with Milwaukee is they are not a free agent destination. So while Milwaukee will always be a strong team and could possibly, I think Milwaukee will always be vulnerable to a team that has more All Stars, right?
Hmm.
Um, they can beat those teams, but dynasty means you win all the time, basically. I think the Golden State Warriors, even if they lose, and they said two. Who's a two?
Say it again.
Who they said
Losing
losing
two.
two.
Well, Durant and Clay.
They Clay ain't going nowhere.
But I mean, he said possibly, which is
I don't.
accurate.
We've seen no evidence that it's
I mean, he's a free agent, so
it's also possible that the Infinity Stones is real, but not
I
likely.
mean, but,
Not probably not though. I think they were made up by Jim Starlin. So
I don't know.
I Clay,
I don't think that that's
Clay has
something
said
that
over and
you
over and
know.
over, I ain't going nowhere. Just write me a check. I'm gonna be right here. I don't think Clay is going anywhere, so I'm gonna operate under Durant is probably leaving, and the greatest shooting backcourt in history, will be intact, and some of the smartest front office people in the league will fill out that roster, and they will still be the Golden State Warriors, just like they were before Kevin Durant got there, except now they'll have to be good all the time instead of having three of your All Stars be able to be mediocre and still win.
They would if Durant leaves, they're not the same Warriors team.
They're
Be,
not
be,
the same, but they're still
I don't,
great.
and I think they're still a good team, but I
Like,
don't
you think they're
because
better? You think they're worse than Portland? You think they're worse than Denver? You think
not
they're
worse.
worse than
I
Boston?
don't think they're worse. I don't think they're worse than Portland, but I do think Denver is serious. And I think the Rockets are still serious. I think Milwaukee is flat better than them without Durant. Flat better. I mean, of course, it depends on who they replace him. But I mean, if
Right,
Kawhi Leonard
right.
walks over there, then okay, well, forget it,
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but I'm saying if you're putting Harrison Barnes back on that team,
yeah.
I'm taking Milwaukee.
And that's the thing. Like Golden State, they're gonna fill out the roster, and because they have a smart front office, and they have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond will probably stick around. They're gonna have to replace Iguodala soon, because they're gonna need somebody who actually plays during the regular season.
Mhm.
Sean Livingston ain't getting any younger. They're gonna need, to.
I say the same thing about about Steph and Clay too, man. Steph's over 30 now too, and to just assume that they're the same guys all the time, and because quiet is kept. If you really think about it, we talked about James Harden not ever really being the James Harden of the regular season in the postseason. Really haven't seen Steph be that guy either in the postseason. He's still fantastic because he's
Yeah,
Steph.
he's
He's just so
better than
great.
James. Yeah, way, way
Yeah,
better
I
than
don't
James. I
know,
think
man. I don't know. I think
Steph.
he doesn't carry the same weight because he's played alongside Kevin Durant in the last three postseasons. And James Harden hasn't had that benefit of playing with somebody of that magnitude, except for the one time when he was a rookie, he's a six-man playing with him at Westbrook. But James Harden has been Batman, and Steph Curry of the last 3 years has been a guy and on the member of the Justice League. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's I think it's a little bit different.
Yeah, well, I am gonna go with. I think the Golden State Warriors are still probably going to be the best team in the league going forward, depending on however they handle their offseason. Even if they lose Durant, I don't expect they'll lose Clay. I expect that they'll fill out their roster and be totally fine.
Yeah. Well, we will see. All right. So we got a ton of these, and I don't think we're gonna be able to get to them all. So we're gonna have to
Pack
parking
them up for
lot.
next week.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, that means it's almost time to get it in. So
It's time.
so we're
Oh
about to
man,
play this. So guys,
somebody asked a question about John Moxley too, and I would have liked to talk about that.
well, we can
We
save that for next week. So
Yeah, it's
guys,
gonna be a little old though,
guys
man.
and girls, I know Crazy Girl might be watching too. And whatever other ladies we have watching the show, appreciate you too. We're about to play an online set of Mortal Kombat. I hope you are not on Wi-Fi. I hope you have your system plugged in.
What
You're
are you
not on.
talking about?
Do you have a wire
I'm
into
man,
your system?
I'm a serious gamer. What
Okay,
kind of
okay, okay. Just making sure. Just making
garbage you
sure.
talking to me about like that? You
So
know,
for y'all that don't
disrespecting
know,
my lifestyle.
Brian, Brian likes Mortal Kombat. He likes the fighting games. I also a big fighting game guy. Not a big Mortal Kombat guy though. More of a Street Fighter,
Oh my
Marvel vs.
God.
Capcom guy. But Brian has been putting in that work. How many online matches you got now, Brian?
I don't wait a minute. We might have a problem because this not coming through. I don't know about. I don't know how many I got. I got like maybe 50.
I think you got more than that.
No, it's somewhere
Yeah,
somewhere
like
in that number.
a clean
Don't.
60, not including.
Yeah, I can
So
tell you.
so
I
so
can tell
y'all
you
who
the
in the
seven.
chat who gonna watch this match? So Brian, are we doing a first to 7 or a first to 10?
You know what? It doesn't matter. I have 63 ranked matches.
Oof. You know how many I got?
I don't care.
Zero. I haven't
I don't
been,
care. I don't care.
I haven't been in those
That doesn't
streets,
make
man.
any difference to me. You sound like you coming up with some Kobe crap already.
I
And
mean, we'll see how many of these 10 you think you're gonna get, B.
you know what? I don't have to predict whether or not the jump shots are gonna go
So
in.
yeah.
I just shoot them. I just shoot them and see what happens. You shoot. You take the open shots and you live with the result.
So over or under, y'all. So over under, what y'all got? Y'all got So we're playing first to 10. So first person to get 10 wins. What do y'all think is the over or under for Brian's victories here?
You know what? It's gonna be an under in a minute because I got to find out how to get my. I don't know why this is not. We might have to start a separate stream.
Start separate stream.
We might have to
Okay, we might start a new stream, y'all.
because this one's not is cooperating at the time right now. Let's see here. Yeah, it's not. It's not. It doesn't want me to
Yeah.
switch. It's being very. It's not working. So, yeah, we're gonna start a separate stream, and let's get that going. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna go. I think I'm just gonna go live from here, and then
Okay.
we'll get it going. So, you guys, if you go to the channel, it'll be a new stream that'll pop up. But as always, I appreciate you watching. God bless and peace.